I pulled this one out last night to do biscuits. It seemed a little bit runny this morning, so I added a ½ ounce of flour and stirred it. I've got bubbles showing. Did the same with this one that I made it out of. Same thing. And this one, I tried something because I did my research. Said make tomorrow's bread using today's, and so I cut up that biscuit. Still waiting to see if I get any bubbles out of it, but I did put water and flour in with it, so if there's any bacteria still alive, maybe I'll get some bubbles. Like I said, this one's just a test. This one, however, though, I'm going to attempt to make some biscuits with it later today. And this one, I'm going to, I think, feed it for a few more days and then put it in the fridge, because this is 166% hydration. I've already got 2 in the fridge that are 100% hydration, but just more to work on. On this one, just a note, I went onto castbullet.com and looked at the starter that he used, and he started with 2 cups of water and 2 cups of flour. Didn't do a liquid measurement. People probably, when they made sourdough initially, just did it by a cup of this, a cup of that, or just even portions rather than weighing them. The weighing is probably a newer thing. The difference would be is how much water you add to your recipe after you start it. But that's why I went in there, was to look and see about doing some more biscuits, and that's what it is it needs the different hydration level on the starter. I just wanted to stir this one again. Like I said, this was just some, I cut up the biscuits that I made the other day. Just added a little bit of flour and water. I'll have to see if that turns into something. I might add a little more water. It looks a little dry. Yeah. Should have put the tripod up. Well, the tripod's up. Okay. This is why I use the tripod. I can use both hands, and don't put my finger over the microphone. Doing it right now. I'm just going to put just a touch of water. Just to try to break down that biscuit that I cut up, 2 biscuits that I cut up and put in there. And I think I'm also going to put just a touch more flour. This, if I were weighing it, would be roughly 10 grams. That's Bella barking. She's in the other room. Mom and her husband are on the computer, and she's in there watching whatever they're doing and barking at whatever's on the computer. Well, got that. I'm gonna add a touch more water. A little more than a touch. If this is gonna start bubbling, it should do it today. This is if that, using that biscuit from the other day's attempt, Actually, the biscuits weren't too bad. They they didn't raise as well as they should. And to be honest, that 100% hydration starter, because of all the different grains that I used in it, it definitely has some character, and it affected the flavor of the biscuits. They tasted really old-fashioned. This one for the biscuits is looking really good. Got some good bubbling going on. I think I'm going to be able to make some biscuits probably in a few hours. Put this 166% hydration back in this straighter jar because, well, that's not showing. This is the lid for this jar. This is the lid for the pickle jar. It's a 1/4 inch smaller, and it's just easier to work with this straighter side jar. And since I took out a bunch for this one, and I'm planning, I'll put back whatever of this I don't use, I'll put back in that, and I'll probably store it. Oh, just something kind of interesting. We were at the dollar store, and I was looking at the glass bowls, and they didn't have one I liked, but this mug was right beside them. Mom actually bought this for me to play with. It holds right to the top 2 cups of liquid, but that's just something I don't know, footnote, something I'm going to probably play with at some point. I've got all the stuff here. I actually have the oil measured into here. I'll put the starter in it later. I'm not going to do this quite yet. Mom has a doctor's appointment at 2:30. It's 10:15. I think I might do it just before I take her to, probably just after I take her to the doctor. So we can have some fresh biscuits for dinner tonight. That's all I'm going to, I think, record for now. But I will be recording the biscuits, and hopefully these ones won't be a failure like the last ones. They weren't really a failure. They just weren't as good. So I think I've got that figured out. Got this 166% hydration right here. I'm going to add the 30 grams of flour and the 50 grams of water and stir it up and feed it for the night. And amazingly, the one I did with the biscuits is bubbling, so I'm going to feed it the same. I think I'll just add it to this tomorrow, but for now I'm going to feed it and let it eat up some of those crumbs first. I got these added to this one to feed it. It's going along pretty good, considering that it was fed or started with well, basically breadcrumbs, the crumbs from the last batch of biscuits I made. And I started it last night, and it was already bubbling this morning. It's definitely smoothing out as the days progressed. It's already taking down the crumbs that were there. I'm just going to scrape the sides of this a little. I'm going to put this away for the night. But there's the one started from the the breadcrumbs. I got Gem and Jewel out of the fridge and I mixed them together. I'm going to actually, I fed them. I'm going to separate them again and put one of them back in the fridge, and I'm going to share the other one with a neighbor. But I want to tone it down for him a little bit. And I just wanted to mix the two of these. They were basically twins, and anyway. But I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to share it with a neighbor and go from there. But I've got bubbles just since I stirred it and fed it. I don't know if it's not warm enough to be doing too much. It's still fairly cool, but that's what I did so far with that. But there are bubbles showing on the top there. I decided to make some more biscuits, so I made up some more of this. And I had a request by my mom to do some gluten-free sourdough. So I took 15 grams of the original 100% hydration. This is some stone ground white rice flour. And I'm going to do this 166% solution. Had batteries run out. Like I said, I'm starting with 15 grams of this 100% solution. So that's about 7.5 grams of flour with gluten in it. And then I'm going to be feeding it with gluten-free flours from there. I'm going to have Mom hold the camera just right there. And I'm going to mix this for her. Again, this is going to be 166% solution because that's more what she's used to working with. Can't get it quite all out. There might only be 14 grams in here with all I'm leaving in there. But I'm going to put the 50 grams of white rice flour, 30 grams, pardon me, of white rice flour, and 50 grams of the water. And then I'll stir that up to make a mostly gluten-free sourdough start with only 6 or 7 grams of gluten-containing flour. By the time this is made into something, it'll be so negligible amount it shouldn't matter. But as Mom said, mostly gluten-free. But that's where we're starting from. Just as her request, she wants to try going gluten-free and see if she's been having stomach problems. She wants to see if this might help. So, won't take much to do a start. And so we're going to do it for her. Thanks for watching Perhaps Cooking. Feel free to share, give me a thumbs up, or subscribe.